This is The Ring's Mike Coppinger, and we are here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia with pound-for-pound great Terence "Bud" Crawford, here for the press conference for his fight on September 13th with Canelo Alvarez, one of the biggest fights in years. Bud, thank you for being here with us. First off, look, you and I have talked a lot, right? This is a fight that you've been calling for a long time now, even when you were at 147. You're going up to 168. Why?
Man, I just think, the opportunity and the chances that I'll be taking would be all worth this while after the fight.
And of course, look, you've accomplished everything. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. You've been undisputed now in 2 weight classes. This would give you undisputed championship in the 3rd weight class. But not just that, you're fighting an all-time great, and you know that the credit's going to go to you if you beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez at 168. Is that why you want it?
Well, when I beat him.
When you beat him.
Definitely. The stakes is high. It's high risk, high reward type of fight, and I'm looking forward to it.
When would you say, from memory, that you first thought this fight was a real possibility, that you started thinking about this fight actually happening?
Well, I started thinking about it, a couple of years ago when they started talking about Spence fighting Canelo. Then just, sizing him up, like, all right, how tall is he? How long his arms and things like that, just sizing him up like that and going to his fights and things like that. And when he walk out the ring, I'm looking at him like, all that big, so me talking to him with Turkey and Turkey not wanting to fight. And me like, yeah, this is the fight that I want, being that, he's the last great fighter of our era. That's just like, me fighting a Pacquiao, Mayweather, De La Hoya, and things like that. So that's why I wanted to fight.
Yeah, and look, you and I have known each other, 13 years? And I think what's awesome is, you know how it's been. You've always had a chip on your shoulder. People did not have you pegged to be in this kind of big fight in your career. You're fighting in Omaha. Obviously, you're selling out there. Everyone knew how great you were. But people didn't have you being this kind of commercial superstar, right? How gratifying is it?
It's good, everything happens on God time. A lot of people, they wanted me to be like everybody else. They wanted me to act like everybody else. They wanted me to, be something that I wasn't. And I just wanted to be myself. And so being that I was being myself, they was punishing me in ways that, they thought that was gonna affect me. It affected me at times, but me, staying focused and keeping my vision clear and straight has led me to be where I am today.
Yeah, because again, look, you've always been on the pound-for-pound list, right, for a really long time now. And you had a kind of a messy split with Top Rank, and it just kind of felt like when you left Top Rank, Aaron made some comments, it kind of felt like they saw you as on a certain level, and you saw yourself doing bigger things, right?
Yeah, for sure, and it's shown. When I left Top Rank, you see how my career blossomed. I just felt like, I appreciate everything that Top Rank did for me, but at the same time, I was in a situation where they wasn't trying to put the money behind me like I felt like they should have. And if they would have, then it could have been a case where I would have got the Manny Pacquiao fight. I would have got all those big fights that I was asking for years ago.
And look, there's no questioning your skills. No one's saying that you're not skillful enough to beat Canelo. It's the size that everyone's talking about. How do you know if you could take a punch at that weight, or are you going to find out on fight night?
We definitely gonna find out if I get hit with
Right.
a shot that I need to take. That's why we fight. He got to take my punches too. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, he took Triple G punches, he took Bivol, all these punches and all these fighters and this, but, I believe in myself, I believe in my punching power, and I believe the right punch at the right time, I can do great damage.
Right, I understand. Right, you have great timing. You're a very accurate puncher, and it's always the punches you don't see that hurt you. And there's two kinds of fighters. Sometimes we see fighters go up in weight and they lose their power. But for you, you've gained power as you've gone up in weight. You weren't the biggest puncher at 135 or 140. You had your share of knockouts. But at 147, I think you knocked out every single opponent, right? So do you think you're going to get another power surge going up in weight?
That's because, like I said, I wasn't cutting muscle. To make 135 and 140, I was cutting muscle. I wasn't supposed to be at 135. You know, that's why I wasn't at 140 that long, because I was at 135 for too long. You know, but I think being that I don't have to cut any muscle, I don't have to cut a lot of weight, and you know, I can just focus on, you know, the things that I need to focus on in the gym. I think that's gonna, you know, make me a better fighter.
And you're going into kind of a hostile environment, right? I mean, we know you're going to have a lot of fans there, thousands and thousands of fans, but Canelo's the biggest star in boxing. He has a big Mexican fan base. Do you kind of feed off that energy? Do you like that?
Of course. You know, because at the end of the day, they fans too. You know, and at the end of the day, once my hand is rose, you know, they're gonna be mad, but they're gonna be fans too. You're gonna have the haters on social media, giving all the excuses and saying this is the reason why I won, and so forth, kind of like the Errol Spence situation. Right. But that comes with the territory, and I'm prepared for it.
And look, you, Turkey, the guy responsible for this fight, right? Riyadh season event. You, Turkey, Canelo had dinner last night. Seems like you and Canelo have a lot of mutual respect for one another. How do you view him as a person and a fighter?
He's a cool dude. You know, I ain't never had no ill will feelings towards him or any negative feelings towards him. You know, at the end of the day, we both know it's just business, and you know, after that we can go on being fans of each other.
Yeah, because I've seen some fans, you know, commenting on social media, but this is a sport at the end of the day. You don't need to hate somebody to fight them, and to fight hard, obviously.
Right.
I mean, right?
You don't. I didn't hate Spence, you know, and I let it be known that I was a fan of Spence. You know, I just thought that our people try to divide, you know, each other, and to make each other feel like it was like this big hatred thing when they really realized it.
Yeah, look, everyone knows, right? Bud Crawford is a gym rat, and you're super strong for your weight always and your size. I remember, I think it was round 2 in the Spence fight where you kind of shoved him in a clinch and he went flying. And that's when I was like, Spence is in trouble. Yeah. Do you think Canelo's going to be surprised by your strength as well?
I think he is, but I don't know. We shall see. He's been in the ring with a lot of big fighters, you know, but come fight time, we'll see.
We know about all the Canelo accolades, right? All the titles, all the big fights. What most impresses you about his career and his resume?
What impressed me is, you know, how small he is fighting those bigger fighters, and was successful in doing so. You know, that tells a lot about his skills.
You're going to be 38 when the fight comes around. He's going to be 35.
I'm going to be 37.
Oh, sorry. Wait, your birthday's in September, right?
I'm being 37.
Okay. When do you turn 38?
28.
Ah, okay. So you'll be 37.
Yeah.
About to turn 38.
All right.
Do you think you and Canelo are fighting each other at the right time? Are you guys at the peak of your powers?
Yeah. I think this the right time. This the only time. You know, right time is the time that we're doing it at. You know, so yeah, for sure.
And I think you've had the last year that you had more than one fight was 2019. I think Canelo's had like 12 fights in that same span. Inactivity's plagued a lot of fighters, but it hasn't affected you yet. Why not?
Guess I'm blessed. You know, staying in the gym, staying around the gym, and, you know, a lot of fighters need that rest. You know, especially when you go through brutal camps like I do. Your body need that rest. You know, I think, you know, going from one camp to another camp, you know, that breaks your body down. You know, and then you see these fighters, they look good one fight, then the next fight, you know, it's like night and day. You're like, dang, what's going on with this fighter? It's just because their body is just tired and wore down.
How do you see this fight playing out from an entertainment standpoint? You think this is the kind of fight we're going to see a rematch, that people are going to be begging for one?
I don't know. We shall see. You know, that's why, you know, we gonna do what we gonna do to try to entertain the fans as much as we can.
And then lastly, Turki Al-Sheikh organizing, pushing this fight, Riyadh season, and you have a great relationship with him, we know, but also you have a great relationship with the WWE and TKO. You've had some involvement with them. TKO's behind it, Dana White. How big do you think all of this is to push this fight as the biggest fight it is?
I think it's gonna be huge. You know, I think it's gonna be one of the biggest fights in the last decade. I think it's gonna be up there with a lot of the top fights.
All right, bud, thank you so much for being here with us. We'll let you get some sleep, hopefully, and shake off that jet lag. And look forward to seeing you at the press conference.
Thanks.
Thanks, bud.
Cool.